good morning, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and I have an incredible show for you today. I was sitting backstage talking to today's guest, and I already know this show is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that is to go out and be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. There's some entrepreneurs, some business owners, some individual in your life, in your house, in your neighborhood, in your network who needs this information. And they won't be able to learn this vital information unless you go ahead and share the show. Because like I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're introducing the show to your friends and your network, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first guest, Miss Amy Teasdale. Amy is passionate about sharing her message about mindset and self-love. She says these are the underlying key ingredients to the success of any entrepreneur. Amy is an international success coach, speaker, author, podcast host, and digital nomad who is living her dream life whilst enabling others to live theirs. Good morning, Amy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
I am excited to have you, to learn about you. I love reading bios and finding out people because I kind of scan through. I'm like, interesting. Oh, that's kind of boring, but I love the digital nomad. Like, that was kind of cool. I've never seen that or had a guest who says, I am a digital nomad. Let's talk about that. What is a digital nomad?
A digital nomad is anybody that can work from anywhere in the world, so long as they have Wi-Fi and internet, basically. So yeah, I started my business about 5 years ago. And I just wanted location independence. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. That's what allowed me to leave the UK and move to Spain, which is where I am now. And I've had the privilege of being able to travel around the world whilst still working on my business. You know, I've been to LA, which is where I know a couple of guys here are right now. There was one time I was even coaching somebody whilst I was sat sunbathing in Zanzibar. that's the perks of it. I don't think they knew that I was sunbathing.
That requires a little bit of explanation. We just can't gloss over that and move on. I don't care where in the world you do it from. You lost me at sunbathing. How do you sunbathe and coach simultaneously?
Oh, very easily, don't worry. No, I just this particular coaching call didn't have video switched on. It was audio only, so that's how I managed to get away with just happening to be sat outside at the same time. But I don't normally do that, to be fair. Okay. Normally I'm indoors and fully clothed when I'm coaching.
Hey, sometimes you got to multitask. You got to get a lot done in a short amount of time. So I understand. Exactly. Amy, tell us what you're passionate about.
So my biggest passion is personal development. I've been into personal development and psychology from a very young age, and I decided to pursue this. So I studied psychology at university, and then when I realized that I wanted to work for myself, I wanted to be my own boss, I just thought about, well, what are my passions? What are my interests? And it was personal development, because at that point, I'd already started to do a lot of my own mindset work. I'd already started to shift some of my own beliefs about who I thought I was and what I thought was possible for me. So I knew that that was what I was going to be able to help others with. And so that's what I really love doing. I love helping people who are getting in their own way of success, people that are holding themselves back with their own limiting beliefs, their own mindset that's just somehow stopping them from doing the things that they want to do. And I love just having a conversation with them and helping them to see things differently and to see themselves differently and to think about things differently. And the results that then they create as a result of that mindset shift is just phenomenal. Like, it always comes down to mindset. So that's what I really love doing. I love working with business owners, especially purpose-driven business owners, who have a purpose, they have a mission, they're here to do something on this planet, but they're just getting in their own way. And I love to clear that out of the way so that they can make the impact that they really want.
That is powerful. Do you focus on working with just women, men? Does it matter?
For me, it doesn't matter. I'm happy to work with men and women, but I have found that the majority of my clients to date have been women. That's pretty much the majority of the people that have resonated with me. But, you know, if a guy comes to me and he resonates with my message and feels that he's holding himself back in the same way, then I'm more than happy to help him, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Now, Amy, I am going to come back to you, but our next guest focuses on how to be the complete man. So we got to find out more about Mr. Pardeep Sangha. He's widely known as the strategist for businessmen and teaches men how to become the complete man. His personal mission is to help men grow their businesses massively, increase their personal fulfillment in life, and improve their relationships with their wife and kids. He is the founder behind the movement of men becoming mindful alpha males. Good morning, Pardeep. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifah and everybody else. I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I was reading your bio and I just saw alpha male. And I was like, ooh, this should be interesting.
Yeah, don't forget the mindful part, because we've got a lot of alpha males running around, but they're not necessarily mindful.
Yes. What got you into this? How did you start in this direction?
Oh, wow. It's a long story, but essentially I came from a family of immigrants, and my parents were very hardworking people. My dad was a big figure in our life, as well as my grandfather, who was a very spiritual man. He was also in the military for 3+ decades in the Indian British military. My dad was an ex-police officer in India, and then when he immigrated over, they didn't really have any formal education, him and my mom, and so they just knew how to work hard. So I grew up on an orchard in a very mindful environment. I was taught by two very masculine but very mindful men as well. And as I kind of went through life, I learned the good things about being men or strong men, but I also saw the challenges. My dad also suffered from alcoholism. So I saw the challenges that presented in his life. And essentially what ended up happening was my dad's goal was to hit 65 years old. He had a successful business. He raised a successful family. That was going to be his goal, to say, I came to this country with next to nothing, and I did it. But because of his alcoholism, it really accelerated his diabetes, and he died at 64 and a half from a sudden heart attack working.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
So yeah. And it was obviously a big hit to our family, but the reason why I do what I do, I work specifically with men who are either business professionals, executives, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners that really want a holistic aspect to life rather than just being one-dimensional, as a lot of guys live today. And that was a big driving force, because I see a lot of men, and from my personal experience and the research that our team has done, roughly about 8 out of 10 guys live this way, where they're working their butts off in their business or their career, and they feel like something is missing in some other aspect of their life. Hence the word complete man, and hence the reason why I wrote the book, The Complete Man, is really to really bring it all together for men to be able to achieve, perform, and have fulfillment in all areas of their life, not just one, where a lot of guys get caught up in.
Yes, and just being that one alpha male. What has been the response to your book?
It's been great, actually. It's been phenomenal, and it's been great from the perspective of it's helping men. I'm getting feedback daily to say certain aspects have helped them in their life. Interesting enough, I get probably just as much feedback from women. So half the feedback we've gotten is from women who have read the book, and it's impacted them in some way, whether it's their own personal performance or their understanding of the man in their life. Mm-hmm. So they have a deeper understanding, a greater understanding of how men operate, because as much as we like to think that men and women are the same, we aren't. We think differently. We have different mental processes, for example. We are biologically different, and therefore we have to respect that. And women have a strong understanding of the man in their life by reading this book. But also the purpose of the book is also, there's a big element of relationships. And this gives men a deeper understanding of how to be a better husband and father as well. So it's to help people overall.
Okay, I love it. I have more questions, Pardeep. I am going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Michael Skyles. He is a business generalist with legal expertise, as well as co-founder and CEO of Host GPO, a community buying group for the short-term rental industry. Additionally, He is the co-founder and COO of Winthrop Valentine, Inc., a full-service real estate investment and technology company with a focus on vacation rentals. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning to all of you, and please don't take anything I say as legal advice because, as I mentioned before the show, it's actually my partner, Jeff, who's the lawyer. I'm not. I'm actually a philosophy PhD.
That's okay. At least we should be able to talk about host GPO. Can we do that?
Exactly. 100%.
Tell us about it. Why are you passionate about it? How did you get started with this company?
So my partners were in this company, Winthrop Valentine, which ran a good number of vacation rentals, mostly in the Los Angeles area. And one of them had been CEO of a hotel chain before that, and he saw that they were buying everything through a group purchasing organization, you know, their mattresses, their linens, their toiletries, but Airbnb type hosts, boutique hotels, bed and breakfasts, they were mostly paying retail and saw a potential huge opportunity if we could pool our collective buying power together to save everybody a lot on everything they need to furnish and stock their units. So that's the opportunity they saw. I, meanwhile, was getting my PhD at UCLA, president of the Graduate Students Association. I created a little local political movement in Westwood to form a new neighborhood council to promote housing development and business revitalization, public transit, inclusive governance, those sorts of things. And that's how I met them. And I was working on what I should do after I graduate, and they effectively thought, you're able to create a coalition, you're able to organize people. Instead of doing that just for politics, organize hosts to create this group buying organization. So that's how I got into it.
Okay, so you gave us the background on how you met these guys. It was a wonderful story. You were saving the world and you met. How do we get to host GPO? How do we sit down and decide we want to found a company, we want to go in a different direction? Because based on the information you provided, I would have thought that you would have done something more in the political ring or maybe a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, well, I'm, still president of the Northwestwood Neighborhood Council, but that's my hobby. And I really don't like when you have to make money at your political service. I find that often distorts the service, and before you know it, you're a lobbyist, and before you know it, you're not able to follow your heart. So I wanted to compartmentalize that, and the startup itself, it seemed like a great opportunity because all these other industries, healthcare, hotels, and many others had these group purchasing organizations, and that just didn't exist in the short-term rental space. And my partners, had over 100 units, and they were going around themselves asking for discounts, trying to get bulk deals and the like, but they just realized they weren't getting anywhere near as good of a deals as these group purchasing organizations in the hotel space. So as soon as we started negotiating as a group purchasing organization, we were able to start getting much better deals. And then we were able to pretty quickly go to the various short-term rental conferences and get a lot of hosts on board because, everyone likes saving money, and we've been offering free membership. So it was an exciting and surprisingly similar opportunity to organize and help people.
I love organizing and I love helping people. Michael, I am going to come back to you. I want to introduce our next guest, and we have two gentlemen who are joining us from Herald PR, Mr. Matthew Berman and Warren Kahn. They're a New York-based public relations agency back in 2012 from the comfort of his parents' couch, where Warren created it. At just 24 years old, Warren broke through his brick wall, a mind block that keeps most from pursuing their largest dreams. He had a vision of a company that invested in their clients, put their best foot forward every day, and had a collaborative atmosphere. Good morning to Warren and Matthew.
Thank you so much for having us.
Good morning, Sharifah. How's it going?
You just chilling over there, Matthew? Are you at work?
I'm enjoying this lovely show. What a great group of guests here. I'm learning so much and listening to some lovely stories. And yeah, so we are here from both Herald PR and Emerald Digital. So we have both a public relations and a digital marketing agency. Warren and I have been best friends for a very long time, and we were both each running separate firms.
Yeah.
And we kept wanting to work together, and we kept finding projects. And at the end of the day, life is short, and you want to work with someone that you trust, and you want to work with your friends. And his team is working very well with my team, and we said, let's make this happen. Let's join forces. Two entrepreneurial minds are better than one.
You said, let's join forces. Somehow that just gives me this superhero mindset.
Like, well, that's how it worked. We both put our rings together.
I'm seeing it.
You said earth, fire, wind, water.
Warren, is this true? Did you put your arm up?
Right here. You got it. Yeah. We decided that having a relationship and marriage and children is not stressful enough. We have to bring our friendship together and to memorialize and go through those challenges together as best friends in a formalized fashion as well. So yes, it's very true.
How long have you been best friends?
For 16,
15 plus years or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how long has it been since you combined the company?
It's been 2 years, just over, December will actually be 3 years. It started with, it's a great story. We have a client that's building this incredible hotel and property in Turks and Caicos in the islands. And, I called Matt and jokingly, we were doing the marketing for it, all the decks, the public relations, their website. And I said, hey, Matt, do you and your wife want to come down to an 11-bedroom villa on the beach to which the client owns so that we can check out this proproperty and maybe
thought about it very hard.
Long time.
It was a very tough choice. Yeah.
And 6 minutes later, and we were on a plane, and we had a lot of conversations that formalized the relationship then. And since then, we're just trying to go back there and make that our office. No.
Wow.
So we can be digital natives too, Amy.
Yeah, exactly.
Digital
we will lead by your example.
You got to be a digital nomad.
Yeah.
Nomad. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
it's the dream. You can be sunbathing and coaching your clients just like I was.
Multitasking.
I guess to be digital native, you have to be born in the digital nomad realm.
Matt's close to that. Matt's pretty close.
So always speak with the two people that usually come on are husband and wife teams. I had a mother and daughter business owner. Now, this last year has been stressful for everyone. How has the last year been for the two of you working together?
Yeah, I think as far as our relationship goes, we've been just fine. But obviously, this year has brought, an unfathomable amount of challenges just operationally as to where people are going to live and work and what to do, because we have multiple offices. So what are we going to do? How are we going to follow different state regulations? We have clients in so many states where we're trying to follow their lead. What challenges do they have that they can fix? There are family challenges with tourism being shut down and people working in those particular industries, and also personnel where, we have a lot of folks that, especially I think towards the beginning of like this particular period, they're feeling nervous. They're feeling, there's just so many things going on in like the air. So it's juggling a lot of balls, and I think maintaining calm, so like, I think us as the business owners and the leaders of these firms, like we have to we have to maintain our calm. We can't freak out, especially if other people tend to be freaking out. We have to steer that ship. But we've also, we are first, most of our work is in some way digitally oriented, whether it be through digital marketing or through PR. And we've seen a lot of our clients and a lot of prospective clients have said, now that we can't go brick and mortar, now that we can't do this and that, we know we need to be technology focused, technology based. And we've already been doing that. So we did see a lot of growth last year. So, there were just kind of challenges in making sure the trains ran on time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to call us, like Matt just said, like I called us pre-pivoted, meaning like we were already on Slack, we're already on Zoom, we're already like, there's nothing that replaces grabbing our team and hopping into the conference room and or meeting with a client there. But we definitely, were able to overcome the challenges. And I think, look, while drinking in college and being in a frat together and partying and doing other things doesn't necessarily help you overcome challenges. I think like having the rapport, having the relationship, that Matt and I have really allowed us to come together. Like, look, Matt talked about panic. Thank you for not throwing me under the bus. I raised my hand. I panicked and freaked out, blank out early on. I was too much on the Cuomo and Trump press conference juice. And Matt was like, no, bro, like he as a friend was able to be like, dude, you gotta like, let's focus. Like we got this. We have a hot hand. So I think, it benefits us and allows us to get over the humps or the challenges better because we have, direct channels of communication and, can be like, yo, bro, like let's just get past this. And sometimes more challenging, but most of the time it makes it a lot easier.
And I think I can open this up to the rest of all of you here on this panel. Being an entrepreneur is inherently a stressful position, right? You have to worry about payroll. You have to worry about the work. You have to worry about biz dev, and you have to worry about all these thousands of fires that sort of pop up every single day. And that's in a normal environment. So bringing in, the superheated external factors, I'm sure for all of us has just, those 3 a.m. nights where you're like, oh my God, so I think having someone, and you've probably seen this on the coaching side, Amy, having someone that you can bounce your internal ideas off of and kind of recenter yourself, just to be able to verbalize some of this. So you're not going down these wild rabbit holes and then emailing your team at 5 a.m. like, this is what we're going to do, guys. This is the crazy thought that I had.
Watch out, Sharifah. He's trying to take over hosting duty.
I love it. I just want to sit back and listen because I believe as the co-host, Matthew was throwing Amy a question. He just hasn't phrased it in the form of a question yet. So let me help you out,
Matthew. Don't speak good.
Amy, as an entrepreneur, how do you deal with the stress levels, especially during these trying times? Was that your question, Matthew?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to Matthew's point about, having somebody there that you can bounce ideas off of. Well, I don't have a co-founder or anything like that. So because of that, I've pretty much always invested in working with coaches pretty much the whole time that I've had a business. And I would not be where I am today if it was not for the fact of me doing that, because, even though I am an expert in mindset and personal development, we still struggle to see our own mindset, so like I can be coaching my clients and pointing out to them the things that they can't see, but that doesn't mean to say that I can see, my own blocks, my own beliefs, my own, ways of seeing things that might not be helping me. So that's why I have a coach coaching me to do the same for me, basically. So that's kind of been the way that I have, gotten support throughout my time. And I mean, I have to say the whole sort of lockdown situation for me, the first thing was that I was already working online anyway. All of my clients were via Zoom anyway, so there was literally no difference to me whatsoever in terms of how my business ran. The only thing that was just obviously not being able to go out the house for a while. And really, it came at a time for me, which was perfect because I was going through a big rebranding of my business at the time. And it just meant that I didn't have any distractions. I just moved to Ibiza, and it meant that I didn't have to be concerned about how to go out and make friends and to meet people because I couldn't. So I was just at home getting on with stuff. I created myself a bit of a schedule of personal development things to like mini challenges, almost like things like daily habits that I wanted to be doing, to be working on, to give myself some focus so that I wasn't kind of just sitting around like bored or wasting time or anything like that. It all passed by pretty quickly. It was a bit hard to get used to at first, like being on your own for like so much time and not having like another soul to just be in person with and to speak to. And I remember like just going to the trash to throw your trash out was like the exciting part of the day. It's like, oh, I get to go outside, you know, like where you feel like a bit of a rebel, because the lockdown in Spain was really quite strict, actually. Like the police were out on the streets. You could get fines if you were out without a valid reason. So it was like this mission just to go and drop your trash out, basically. So
don't get caught out there.
Yeah, exactly. The one time I had to justify why a police car actually stopped me, and he's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Just been to the supermarket." And I was like, "Oh my God, I hope he's like fine with it." He's like, "Okay." It's like, whew, you know, like crazy times just to have to like defend the fact that I'm going to the supermarket. It's a bit strange, but.
Wow, those are the times we're living in. Michael, I would love to hear from you. You have a co-founder. How is it like for you?
So it's certainly critical, I think, to have someone you can collaborate with in the downtime that was the COVID pandemic's beginning. We were launching, and we were launching literally like the week that the shutdown started, and our business caters to the short-term rental industry, which obviously just got wiped out by COVID, at least initially. So, there was a couple of months where, our projections were here and the reality was way below it. And, needing someone to talk about, is this model viable? Are things going to come back? When are things going to come back? Do we need to figure out something else to do? Or is this going to eventually survive and thrive? It would have been an unimaginably lonely set of months if it weren't for that. And of course, my wife and the dog that I got during the pandemic to cope through it. But we thankfully, as things start to get better, we have seen what we hoped for come in over these past few months. So it was good to have each other, to motivate each other on, reassure each other that there will be better times, and also to think about ways together that we could pivot to reach hosts in a hard time, advocate for hosts who are going through the challenges COVID brought them, and also focus especially on the cost savings part of the business, which is very important to hosts who lost almost all their revenue during the pandemic. So I don't think we could have done it without co-founder model.
Absolutely.
Michael, I got a question for you, because I'm quite curious. Obviously the industry that you're in has been challenged. How did you, because you're working with a group of people or individuals that have their own properties, is that correct?
That's right.
How did you have to give them confidence, because that whole industry has been shaken, and where is the industry at right now?
Yeah, well, their business significantly needed to pare down, because Los Angeles basically did a short-term rental ban even right before the COVID pandemic, which furthered the limited nature of what that business could be. So they're still running short-term rentals across Southern California, but that became sort of their part-time job, and now their full-time job is host GPO. But definitely, when the business started, we thought it was mostly about major metropolitan areas like Los Angeles and New York, where all the growth since the pandemic has mostly been in drive-to destinations like the Poconos and Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and we're seeing it. People are able to work remotely, like Amy, and wanting to stay in pleasant places, but they're places that they can drive to and get away. So the demand isn't gone; it's just shifted. But in just the last couple of months, we're starting to see it come back to a lot of the metro areas again.
It's funny you say that, because my wife, we were just talking about that. Canada's been pretty tight in terms of the restrictions. We just opened up again a few weeks ago, and we haven't talked about going anywhere really until things are a little bit safer, you can say. But my wife mentioned the other day, maybe we should go to a cottage. So I think a lot of families are thinking about that. Let's go somewhere secluded because it's safe, and it's an opportunity to get away.
So happy to recommend a bunch of members up in Canada who have exactly those secluded places, some even in driving distance to Toronto.
Awesome. I'll have to contact you for sure. Thank you.
My wife and I operate an Airbnb in New Orleans as well. And we were, pre-pandemic, we were booked every single day. And as soon as the pandemic hit, I don't think we got a single booking from, let's say, March until like November 1. And as soon as November 1 hit, we've again almost been booked every single day. So I'm not sure, Michael, if you've been seeing the same thing on your end. I mean, the prices are significantly cheaper than they were, but I feel like, from what I kind of saw, obviously the health crisis was the number one issue. And it kind of also seemed like going from late summer into the fall, everyone was just politics. And as soon as it seemed like there was kind of light at the end of that campaign tunnel, people were like ready to kind of maybe breathe a little deeper and start moving around, and they just ready to kind of get out.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Although it's, I think, very much varied from place to place. In Los Angeles, things are still very locked down. Disneyland's closed. Pretty much can't go to most restaurants and attractions, but places like Texas are wide open. And so correspondingly, the sense of there is that light in the tunnel, we need to start getting ready for it, or we can start making bookings for it. Started in some states and places a lot earlier than others, but uniformly we have been seeing it come at some time or other pretty much everywhere. And it was a trickle in September, better in October and November, and then it's really coming back this year.
That's good. That's wonderful. I want to go back to Pradeep. We were discussing, I'm going to translate what Matthew and Warren were saying. They were they were there for each other. They were supportive of each other. They were there when they needed to talk, to hug, to cry it out. They were there for each other. Now, typically, maybe I'm sexist, men don't necessarily want to talk or share their emotions. They're there for each other. What did you think when you heard from Warren and Matthew?
Well, I think that's awesome, because I think that's absolutely what's necessary to have a strong partnership in many ways. So they have a business partnership. This is important in an intimate relationship as well, between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. It's just important to have someone there to pass ideas and your challenges and your, you can say, your inner emotions with. I think you're absolutely right. Guys do, and they are challenged, because I call it the Lone Ranger approach. Because a lot of us are taught that we're supposed to achieve something or get to a level of success by ourselves without any help. But I don't think that's a smart way personally, because I know that everything I've accomplished has been as a result of having the right people on my team. Having a good relationship with my wife, for example, that has all fueled everything that has led me to where I am today. And so one of the biggest challenges I do see with men is when they do feel alone, when they don't have that sounding board, because when you're dealing with your own mind, it's a tough one, because you can drive yourself crazy at times. So having just someone there to share, and just by simply sharing something is enough to actually get past those feelings. Because when you are keeping that pent up inside, it becomes a challenge. And we as guys, we do that all the time.
I definitely agree. Hold it in. Don't want to speak. Don't want to cry. I need you to cry this morning, Warren. I need you to let it out.
I got you.
I want to talk about Hero PR, because one of the industries that the guests ask about, the viewers ask about, is they love PR. And over the last year, people have struggled to get their stories out there, get their businesses out there. With your company, what did you see over the last year, especially as far as messaging from companies?
I mean, initially it was, as Matt said earlier, I think it applied to Airbnb and travel, but it applied to everything. The campaign and the election, or even like the 4 years of the Trump presidency, definitely took over a lot of the news cycle on every channel, whether you're for or against, indifferent. It was just like, if there was a Trump angle to it, you could probably be successful and get into the news cycle. A couple of years into the administration, I think it evened out, and we were able to, we're always able to deliver for clients, but it was just like, what can we deliver? Or like, can we get hard news out there, or get our clients into the news cycle? I think early on, it was really a lot of sitting on our hands, because we didn't want to be insensitive. Like this is a pandemic. It's unprecedented, a word that everyone says all the time during these times, way weathered and old by now, but it was an unprecedented time. So it was like a little bit of shock. Definitely, we luckily had some clients who pivoted very early on. We have a client, Paradox Worldwide. They did Coachella's event medical service, and Electric Zoo, and Shaky Beats and Shaky Knees in Atlanta, national company. They pivoted very early on to do testing and checks at any event or anything that was going on. And now they're doing, the vaccination sites at the Javits Center. So throughout the course of the pandemic, we're able to get them into the news cycle because of that. We also, on the flip side, we do a lot of strategic and crisis communications, and we've been busier than ever with that because of the cancel culture and everything going on. So whether that's, I always say that during a crisis or a media crisis, there's a fire hose, you're being fire hosed in the face. So our job is to shut that off first, and then to mop up, the damage, or, what's left after that, which is where Matt comes in, and the online reputation or ORM space. So we've been busy, but we've also been very strategic and careful. And we've certainly moved into and seen many, many more clients in the healthcare space. We have a client who does efficiency, for testing, meaning if there's extra vaccines available, they have a software that, helps people, find those and find the individuals who can run within, 20 miles to go get it. We have, another client in the testing space. And we have a medical supply client who's been, who was talking about, he got into the news cycle because he was talking about how, about China for many years and how we're too dependent on them for medicine. Boom, like Newsweek, New York Times, Journal, everyone wanted him. He became a hotcake, once the pandemic. But definitely very careful and strategic in the messaging, because, it is a sensitive time. And when there's that many people sick or dying and there's so many unknowns, it's really, we're not trying to tell the Kim Kardashian story, that day.
And part of what we offer too, right? If you are a business owner, you might have something newsworthy that you're aware of and that the media will already want, or you might not really know exactly what that is. So part of our job is to look at your overall business, say you are doing X, you are doing Y, you are doing Z. We can pitch these following stories, or we can come up, or we can take a look at what you're already doing and message this in a way that fits with this existing cycle, right? Or or, you're running a business that's focused on X, we know that the media and that potential customers, from what we are seeing, would appreciate it if you offered an ancillary service, which could be Y. And, and if you were to do so, here's operationally how that might work. And here's a media and a digital plan to launch that.
Wow, I like that. I can go in so many different directions, but Matthew, you tend to notice patterns, what's going on in the world. So over the last year, what is the pattern that you saw as far as messaging? Because one of the things that I saw early on is the tone of the messages shifted. It went from hard sell to we are here for you. We care about you, so and then fast forward March of 2021, I feel like we're back at the hard sell again.
Yeah, I think overall, it's easy for brands, for people to talk about me, right? This is what I have. I've got the best thing. I'm great, right? Because if you're working with like a national brand and they're making money hand over fist, and they say, we want to run an ad for this, all they want to say is me, check me out, I'm awesome. And I think what this pandemic has done is it's exacerbated a shift that's already been happening in the online world for several years. It's just kind of lit some fire to make that happen faster. The reality is brands are now media publishers, right? And successful brands publish compelling media. And as business owners, that's what all of us have to do. We have to create stuff. So if someone asks what we do, well, we create stuff and we get stuff out there in the most basic of sort of terms, and what the online environment, for the last decade has been shifting to, it really should be an us conversation, right? What are your problems, Sharifah? What are you experiencing? And then, so I think identifying what that particular problem is, to talk about how we can all tackle that problem together. And then the brand should then follow up with, and here is why I'm a great partner, or I have a great product or service to help you solve that. So do I think a lot of big brands, so we had that year of like us, but, brands, marketers, people, it's human nature to go back to the me thing. And, just to spray and pray and, just kind of throw everything out there. But more and more, we are seeing successful brands go that us route. And I don't think that trend is really going to change. But the key word there is doing it in an authentic manner. Because if I see another ad from some company that doesn't care and that tells you that they care, yet every action that they take is anti-consumer, anti-worker, anti-everything, but we spend $20 million on this ad that says that we care, to us as normal people, we have information readily available where we can research that. There are community groups all over the internet ready to call these folks out. So, that voice is also getting louder. So it's being authentic, and yeah, that's basically it.
I agree. One of the first examples that I saw, which I felt was not authentic, was Verizon Wireless. Early on, I was watching this commercial and it was like, we are here for you if you need us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at VerizonWireless.com. And I was like, okay, but hasn't VerizonWireless.com been there for 50 years? I mean, it's the same thing. So it didn't resonate with me. It didn't feel genuine to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, well, you guys have basically taken billions of taxpayer dollars promising to provide brand new fiber, this and that. You never did it. And then you guys have data overages. What, I think they essentially got rid of those for a month or two.
Yes.
We have unlimited data, guys. Come on, yep. Verizon, AT&T, show us you care.
Right. I would have felt that they were authentic if they would have opened a second call center or special hours where you could talk to these people, but it was just the website's available. The website is always available. The website has always
Our website is still up. Thank you. You guys can look at it.
Yes. Pradeep, you were going to say something?
No, I'm just laughing because I think that's totally true. I saw a lot of businesses that are making multi-billion-dollar quarterly profits just cut back. I was sitting on the phone for a couple hours at a time just to talk to my bank, for example, and it was ridiculous. So I think these are the times that consumers and clients will actually remember, and I don't think people will forget that, because it really does come down to, are you really there for your customers and your clients?
Yes.
Which comes through what you do as well, right? Yeah. Like actions speak louder than words. Like Sharifah, you were saying that they put out this message saying that we're there for you, but what did they actually do to show that? Where there are other companies that actually took the actions that showed you that they actually did care, and you could feel that. So
yes, you can feel that in the messaging. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, because we'd planned to launch right at the beginning of the pandemic, we realized that our hard sell message just would be downright insensitive. Hosts were worrying about keeping their units or having to get rid of units and sell all their furniture. And we knew that they would have hated us if we were like, you can now get sofas for half the price you've been paying and 65% off rugs. So we had to be very intentional about pausing selling, and instead we were about building community and advocacy. And like Matt and Warren talked about, we pitched to and got into Bloomberg and Forbes and CNN and a couple others, talking about the hardships that short-term rental hosts were facing, and talking about how stimulus needed to remember them, and Airbnb needed to compensate hosts amid its cancellation policy, and that's how we were able to get signups and build some community, even though we had to very, very much pause on the me part for a while. There was no choice but to go with the S route, and I'm very glad that we did it.
Absolutely. Now, Amy, I want to go over to you for a minute. One of the things that also stood out to me in your bio is that you help entrepreneurs make rapid changes. And one of the things that's happened over the last year, everyone didn't have a Matthew and a Warren to bond together and say, what are we going to do? So more people went to coaches and experts to say, you know what, I've been telling my team everything's going to be okay. I've been telling my team that this will not be long, and working with the team. But as the CEOs and C-suite executives, they're like, oh my God, I have absolutely no idea what to do because this is unprecedented. Is that what you saw, Amy?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the rapid changes, that all comes down to the mindset shift. Like, as soon as you have a mindset shift, like, the external reality around you is going to shift, right? And so the thing that I see a lot of business owners that's really holding them back, it's really their own doubt in themselves. It's their own sort of limiting beliefs. It's whether they think they're good enough. It's whether they think they deserve to create clients or make money. It's whether they think their service is good enough. And so when you actually start to shift those limiting beliefs, and when a person starts to believe in themselves, when they start to see the value in what they offer, then they just automatically start having different ideas about how they can put that messaging out there. They have different ideas about how they can support people. They have different ideas about how they can pivot or create solutions for people, basically. So that's really kind of how the rapid changes come about. It's all just shifting in the mindset first in order to create the changes in the behaviors afterwards.
Okay, so often we know there are blockages, there are mindset shifts that are necessities, they're necessary, but what are some of the strategies that you use to help people shift their mindsets?
So, well, I actually have a method which I use. It's called the 5D method. So the first thing that I will do is I will actually diagnose what is the limiting belief that's getting in the way in the first place. And the limiting belief will always come down to something that they're believing about themselves. So I've actually got a podcast called the Next Level Success Podcast, and you actually get to listen to me coaching other entrepreneurs and business owners. And what you'll hear is that the person will start off the conversation saying, I want to know how to grow my business. I want to know how to get more engagement. I want to know how to make more money. I want to know how to do this, that, or the other. So very kind of like obvious surface level, tangible stuff that they want to create or change. And then I'll start to dive into, well, what exactly is it that's in the way? And every single time, the thing that is getting in their way will be some kind of belief that they hold about themselves. So it will start with the words I am, and then there'll be something that follows that, I am something or other. And that's what's really stopping them from doing whatever it is that they want to do. So the main work that I do is actually to diagnose what is that belief, what is that blockage in terms of who they think they are. And then what I might do is help them to figure out, well, why did they believe that? Where did that come from? They weren't born thinking that or believing that. So it's obviously something that they've accumulated at some point in their life. So maybe I'll go into explore where that is. If that's what comes up, then I will help them to look at that situation that from where that belief transpired from, and see that perspective, see that event or whatever happened in a different perspective. I'll help them to see it in a different way. I'll teach them some ideas about psychology and about how the brain works to help them to realize and to see what exactly how that belief came about. And then it loosens the belief, right? Then they're no longer like so attached to it. And then I just ask them to let it go. I ask them to forgive themselves. I'll help them to just be like, oh, okay, I have been believing this about myself all of this time. I'm starting to see that isn't true. I can just kind of let that go, basically. And then I'll help them to see a different perspective, a different way of seeing themselves. And it's as simple as that, really. Our beliefs are choices, right? So all I have to do is help people to see the choices that they're making and help them to choose a different belief.
I think that's powerful. And the fact that you do it live maybe not necessarily live, but on a podcast, I would be so nervous as an entrepreneur to have a coaching session with my limiting beliefs available to the world. It's like therapy to me almost. So I would be nervous, but the fact that you do it, I am completely impressed.
But you know what? That's also one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I want to show that we don't have to hide these things. We all have these limiting beliefs. We all have these issues that we deal with. Like, let's stop hiding it. Let's stop not talking about it and keeping it covered up. And let's just, it actually, and I've had a lot of people who listen to the podcast who have said that, it's very helpful for them to realize that they are not the only ones that are going through what they are going through or thinking what they are thinking. When they suddenly hear that actually so many other business owners are having the same troubles, that in itself helps to bring some kind of relief, because it's like, oh, hang on a minute, I've been believing I'm not good enough, but she also believes she's not good enough, and she also believes she's not good enough. What's going on here? If it's not just me, then maybe it's not so true, So we want to be doing this. We want to be talking about it.
Absolutely. I have to check out a few episodes. It sounds interesting. Now, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching the show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Pradeep.
Sure. Yeah, I think this is an interesting time in history, obviously, with everything that's been happening with COVID, business owners being challenged, entrepreneurs, even just people that have the regular jobs. One of the biggest things that I know in talking to teachers is that when they're talking to their children, it's not the education they're worried about, it's their mental health. So I think the biggest message I have, and this is directed to men and women, is to stand up and be leaders, because the more we stand up and be leaders, and what I mean by that is actually looking after ourselves, but also looking after others as well. I think that's the most important thing, because we've been in this society, especially North America, where there's been a big rift. It's us versus them, and we have to come together as an us, because if we can come together as communities, first of all, families, and then communities, and then as nations, and then the world, I think we can get through this a lot faster. So I think it's really important that every person step up and take that leadership role to move forward.
Absolutely. And if people want your book or more information on you, where can they find it?
Sure. You can reach out to me on any social media channel. My handle is typically @PradeepSangha. You can check out my website, pradeepsangha.com. And you can get a discounted copy of the audio book by going to completemanaudio.com and using the promo code VICTORY75, all one word.
We don't have enough time, but I'm curious about that 7.5. There was some victory in that 7.5.
Well, the 75 is 75% off. So
okay.
Yeah,
I like
you'll only be paying 25%.
I like that. Thank you. Michael, what do you have for us?
So thanks again so much for having us, Sharifah. I really wanted to be on this podcast, not just because I'm entrepreneurs and we're entrepreneurs, but because, every host, not in the sense of a podcast host, but of course in the sense of a short-term rental host, is an entrepreneur themselves. They're all running businesses, and this has been such a challenging time. But the message I want to get across is that light is at the end of the tunnel for those who aren't already there. And there's about to be such a big wave of pent-up demand, people traveling, people wanting to live the lives that they've postponed for so long. And because so many hosts didn't make it, there's not that supply to meet that demand. So to the bold go the spoils. For those who can get in now, Host GPO for the whole pandemic, although we're ending it this month, has been offering a year free to our members, and there's so much that you can potentially save and no obligation. So I hope you all check us out at hostgpo.com, and really look forward to hopefully welcoming you on board. And of course, if any other entrepreneurs want to sell to hosts, we're thrilled to partner with you potentially as well.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. Amy, what do you have for us?
So I would love to say that, well, I just want to reiterate that for anyone who is trying to get to their next level of success or trying to grow their business, everything hinges upon one factor, which is who you're being and what you believe and who you think that you are. And so if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like there's something holding you back or you're getting in your own way, the most important thing that any business owner could be investing in, investing time and money into working on, is themselves and their own mindset. It's literally the foundation to everything that they then go and do, and how they do it, and how effectively they go and do those things, and therefore the results that they get. So I've got a masterclass coming up. It's called Income and Impact. So if you want to learn how you can get out of your own way of success and create the income and impact that you would love, then you can just go to my website, which is Amy, which is AIMEEC, and then Teasdale.com. TEE. So you can register for the masterclass there. And you can also subscribe to my podcast, Next Level Success. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, or any of your favorite podcast player. And you'll actually get to listen, as I said, to me coaching other entrepreneurs, and you'll hear how I'm able to help them to grow their business and have the impact that their soul would really love for them to have.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, their soul would love it. Thank you, Amy. Warren, what do you have for us?
I want to say thank you for having us.
I'm gonna hang out with you guys. You're fun.
Thank you. Yeah, we didn't even start drinking yet. No, thank you so much. I want to say that the pandemic was definitely, while still going on, early days. There were a lot of unknowns, and it affected businesses across the board. But now that we're settling into that, and we're the turbulence is steady, but leveling off. There's lots of opportunities in the news cycle. There's lots of opportunities in the marketing arena. To get softer and better messages out there in an authentic manner, as we discussed earlier. There's lots of hope for tomorrow, and very excited to meet more entrepreneurs and to meet everyone here. We're all in the same boat, and in different boats, but doing the same thing. And it's always a pleasure to meet other people around the world who are being nomads or sedentary, but either way, kicking ass as an entrepreneur.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. Go ahead and take us out.
All right. You know, it's easy to get stuck in a negative cycle where you're watching the news, where all of the headlines and everything is bringing you negative information all of the time, especially this year when your friends, your family, everyone is upset. I want you guys out there to think about the millions of healthcare workers that have worked tirelessly for the last year, the millions of people that have dropped everything to create masks, to help the homeless, to really put themselves out there in this trying time. So humanity isn't entirely bad. There's so many people out there that have tried their best and have worked so hard for the rest of us to really help the rest of us out. So, you know, we live in an age that's too late to explore the seas, and we're kind of too early to explore the stars. Our generation is really one where we are exploring a digital frontier. We can work from anywhere. We can connect with people all over the world, and we don't even have to go outside. All right. So there's tremendous business opportunities. There's tremendous human opportunities. And what my company, Emerald Digital, does is we help you explore that digital frontier. We make beautiful websites. We get you ranked at the top of search engines. We create social media communities. We help you get your message out in the press. We help you transform it digitally so that you can run your business better and that you could provide something of major benefit to humanity so that the rest of us can live better lives and that our children can live better lives after us.
You got my vote. Yes, Matthew for president 2024. I don't know. It sounds good to me, but I love it.
Thank you so much for having us, too.
It has been a great show. I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. Just because you didn't catch the show live doesn't mean you are not important and that we still don't need your support, because we do. Please go ahead and share the show. But I always ask that you don't just watch the show and you don't just share the show, that you actually support our guests. Go pick up a copy of Pradeep's book. Go work with Amy. Go use the services of Michael. Go be a host somewhere. Warren and Matthew, I just want to hang out with them. I'm sure, but I just want to go hang out for a little while. It's been a lot of fun. So our guests have been here this morning to support you. So please support them. Their website link is in the Facebook post, but please follow them on social media. Reach out to them, send them a message. And when you do, please let them know Sharifah Hardie says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifah.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you so much.